This is the primary source reading entitled "The Cherokee Removal Through the Eyes of a Soldier" by John G. Burnett. The removal of Cherokee Indians from their lifelong homes in the year of 1838 found me a young man in the prime of life and a private soldier in the American Army. Being acquainted with many of the Indians and able to fluently speak their language, I was sent as interpreter into the Smoky Mountain country in May 1838, and witnessed the execution of the most brutal order in the history of American warfare. I saw the helpless Cherokees arrested and dragged from their homes and driven at the bayonet point into the stockades. And in the chill of the drizzling rain on an October morning, I saw them loaded like cattle or sheep into 645 wagons and started toward the west. One can never forget the sadness of that morning. Chief John Ross led in prayer, and when the bugle sounded and the wagons started rolling, many of the children rose to their feet and waved their little hands goodbye to their mountain homes, knowing they were leaving them forever. Many of these helpless people did not have blankets, and many of them had been driven from home barefooted. On the morning of November the 17th, we encountered a terrific sleet and snowstorm with freezing temperatures, and from that day until we reached the end of the fateful journey on the March the 26th, 1839, the sufferings of the Cherokees were awful. The trail was a trail of death. They had to sleep in the wagons and on the ground without fire, and I have known as many as 22 of them to die in one night of pneumonia due to ill treatment, cold, and exposure. Among this number was the beautiful Christian wife of Chief John Ross. This noble-hearted woman died, giving her only blanket for the protection of a sick child. She rode through a blinding sleet and snowstorm, developed pneumonia, and died in the still hours of a bleak winter night, with her head resting on Lieutenant Gregg's saddle blanket. I made the long journey to the west with the Cherokees and did all that a private soldier could do to alleviate their sufferings. When on guard duty at night, I have many times walked my beat in my blouse in order that some sick child might have the warmth of my overcoat. The long, painful journey to the west ended March 26, 1839, with 4,000 silent graves reaching from the foothills of the Smoky Mountains to what is known as Indian Territory in the west, Oklahoma. And covetous greed on the part of the white race was the cause of all that the Cherokees had to suffer. Future generations will condemn the removal of the Cherokee, and I do hope posterity will remember the private soldiers like myself who were forced to execute the orders of our superiors. We had no choice in the matter. About the source. Those involved in the removal of the Cherokee to Indian Territory vividly remember the Trail of Tears. John G. Burnett, a United States Army private, wrote of this experience over 50 years after the march. John G. Burnett's account of the Cherokee Trail of Tears was from a letter written to his children in the year 1890.